you doing out there, survivors, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Survive. Today we're going into another kind of Twitch streamer chat, like the one I did with Sweetheart Ali a while back, like the one I've done with Hand of the Bay. Today we're going to be talking to a friend that I met recently on Twitch. Incredible streamer, incredible person. Both manages to make me laugh and make me contemplate life. So that's a major compliment. I am talking to SourPatchGramps. If you are not following him on Twitter, on Twitch, or Twitter, or anywhere you can follow him, you should be. Also, do you mind if I call you Mike?
Yeah, call me Mike. And also, guys, just to make sure that we start off right. Also, SourPatchGramps, hashtag OnlyFans.
Oh man, I'm missing out. Okay, one sec. While we're here, I'm gonna go.
Paddy, we gotta start this off right if we're gonna have this kind of conversation, my friend. But thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my great honor, my friend. It really is. Me and Gramps, when we first started chatting on Twitch, we realized that, again, similar to the way I felt about Mr. Megaboss and Moy and some other people I've met on Twitch, we felt like we had very similar values, or like definitely identified like that. Oh, we feel similarly about a lot of the same subjects, so we should definitely talk about this stuff.
Yeah, from a value standpoint, and it's funny that you bring, the other people you just brought up, those are the people that I'm also close friends with. Just because, for me, though, when you come on to these type of platforms, when you actually want to make and have those friendships, you want to have people. They don't have to have the same exact values, but you're looking for someone that's good morally, that understands the values and understands how to actually converse with other people.
Exactly.
And understands those social cues.
Oh man, yeah, and so kind of early on we started chatting about this, and we were kind of like battering it back and forth, like what would we talk about? Will we talk about Final Fantasy X-2, which is SourPatchGramps' favorite game?
And we're off to a bad start from there.
Do you have the disc there? No.
I cut it. You saw me cut it in half. You saw me cut that game in half.
I'm gonna have to splice that clip in here, just you cutting it in half.
It's a 50% off game now.
No, but we thought about it. We were like, what would we talk about? And we both feel very strongly about a few things, around, especially in the spectrum of mental health, toxicity, especially in online environments. And one of the things that Gramps is Mike. I'm gonna have to get used to this.
I was about to say, it's all good. Whatever makes you happy at night and when you're thinking about me at night, it's all good.
But yeah, one of the things that you have a lot more experience, I think, with than I do, and so it's very important for me as much as it is for the people watching, is identifying kind of potentially negative traits or people that might not be good for you or healthy for you in an online environment. So that's what we're going to be getting into. Those are some of the points we're going to be discussing. So I will just give a kind of disclaimer, trigger warning type thing here, and I will say we will be getting into some heavy topics. We will be discussing things around mental health. Neither of us are mental health practitioners, so we're not giving any specific advice. We're not saying this is what this is specific. This is just talking about experiences, talking about opinions and beliefs. That's what this is. We are not here to be your therapist.
God, I don't even think I'd want that role to begin with. I mean, let's be real. The therapists have it hard.
Very much so. I know mine sure does.
I know mine does. For my guy, I got of course, my therapist, he's Italian, last name Sorrentino. Just gotta love it. You gotta love it.
That feels like it's straight out of The Sopranos, man.
It's the back alley stuff, man. It's the back alley stuff.
But yeah, Gramps. So I'll kind of, as I said, I'm gonna let you lead a lot of this conversation because I know you've got a lot you want to talk about and get off your chest and stuff. So I'm very much here to kind of listen and interject with opinion here and there, or like my own thoughts, my own experiences. But this is kind of the reverse of every other interview I've done. You are leading the show, man. You are in charge.
Are you sure you want this? I mean, you have a good viewer base. I feel like, they may unfollow. They may get scared here. You're giving me the key to the castle, and I think you should.
Yeah, you got him.
No, it's one of those, for me, I turned 38 this year. let me kind of speak on where mental health for me and why I take it so seriously, and why it's my 60-second lead into my Twitch channel in general. Why I take bullying all this very seriously. I was bullied middle school, high school. I was a little chunker. I had some extra weight to me. I got those love handles still. Can't help it. It just happens.
How God made you.
Oh God, he's just such a good being to me. But leading it, I think the scariest moment I've ever had in my life when I was 20 years old, and this is when I was playing college football. This is when on the middle of the field, middle of practice, basically my body just started shaking for absolutely no reason, and it was the first time I've ever felt vulnerable to my life, where I basically collapsed on the field, and I was rushed to an emergency room where, don't get me wrong, I was fat, but I thought I was having a heart attack.
Oh Jesus.
So it's just like, he might be having a heart attack when they finally diagnosed me, where it's like, Mike, have you ever, let me ask you this, have you talked to any type of, specialist, any type of therapist? I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, that was a very, very strong panic attack, anxiety attack you just had. So I'm like, that's anxiety? I was like, so, the one thing I want to immediately touch on is there are different levels of anxiety. For me, that was terrifying, because for the first time in my life, I've always played sports. I've always been I wouldn't say in shape, but somewhat in shape.
Go way out of it. You are. Go way out of it.
Now I am. Back in the day, maybe not so much, but God, it's one of those things where you open up your eyes for the first time. It's just like, I never thought about this when it first happens. Now it's in the back of your mind. When's it going to happen again? When's it going to happen again? What triggered this? What are the underlying causes? So, it took a long time, and I think for me, it was, I had a very legitimate chance of playing in the NFL. I was actually in the NFL draft. I tore my ACL. I was one of the top 3 kickers to be taken off the chart, and then they found that I tore my ACL, and then goodbye. And I just never regained the strength in my leg. But the reason why I bring that up is that I put so much emphasis and so much training and so much pressure on myself, where that was one of the underlying causes. The other underlying causes were being bullied in high school. It's one of those things where, I have to have the mindset where, I'm coming off the bus, I'm walking into school, and the first thing is, that I'm thinking is, I'm not even worried about class. It's like, where are the bullies? Like, I'm scared, and I told my mom and my dad this, like, at this time I'm boxing too, and I was told never to throw a fist outside of my gym, just because that's how we're trained. So it's very scary when you're a freshman in high school and you have all these seniors, these juniors, and they just basically make lightweight of it. But you brought up a really, really good point before. You're talking to your friend that you just met randomly on the bus, and he's just like, hey, how you been? And he's doing something stupid, and it's like, dude, I know where you live. Where when I go home to New York, I'm in Florida. When I go home to New York, and I go I meet up with my friends. We'll go out to one of the local bars near my mom and dad, and we saw all the people from our county, and it's just like, one guy came up to me. This is the guy that, like, this is the main bully. Like, this is the main bully that just, like, ruined my life in high school. And he's like, hey, Mike, man, how's everything going? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, dude, you are the legitimate reasons why I'm on so much medication. Like, you have no idea the impact of what you did. But this goes back to forgiveness. I'm like, hey, man, how's everything with you? Oh, I got a kid now. And he's like, let me buy you a drink. I'm like, okay.
Can I ask you a quick question on that, Gramps?
Absolutely. I feel like you were about to.
Sorry. Do you think it would have been different? Do you think you would have felt differently about that situation I only asked because I experienced something similar. Do you think you would have felt different if he had walked up and said, look, shit, Mike, I haven't seen you in years, dude. I know I was an absolute dick in high school. I'm sorry for all the shit I put you through. I've really changed. I'm not that person, and I feel like if I could go back and change it, I would, because I was an asshole. Do you think you would have approached that situation differently had he like come in with a sense of remorse and regret?
I think I would have bought him the drink at that point, because that's this goes to, you know, forgiveness, being able to I don't think a lot of people understand that being able to apologize without being told to apologize and holding yourself like a self accountability. You know, if that were the case for me, I would have cleaned the slate right there.
Right there and then,
yeah, because at that point, you know, this is a guy that's like, he's obviously thought about it. He knows what he's done. He's probably, you know, sat there, not just me, maybe he has thought about it with other people too, where he's like, wow, these people probably hate my guts because of what I did. You know, and I'm a big believer in second chances. And the reason being is I've fucked up too. Not bullying wise, I've never bullied, but in relationships, things like that, they've been in the doghouse, but second chances should always be given, because it's always, everybody loves a comeback story. But absolutely, I think, you know, I think I would have had, do I have respect for him? No.
Yeah. No,
you know, it was just more one of those one-time things where I met him. He was nice. If he would have came up to me like that, the respect factor would have been at the peak. I would have cleaned the slate right there and let, you know, bygones be bygones. They're done.
I asked because I relate so hard to your stories about getting to school and walking in and being terrified, because when I was in second year, which I don't know what grade that would relate to, I'm gonna age-wise, I was about 13 or 14. I started in a new school, and then I literally got like I had been bullied before. I'd been picked on where people made up names or laughed at me or pointed or whatever. That I could deal with. I was pretty formidable mentally because I was a creative and kind of always airy-fairy and off in the clouds. That stuff kind of just washed right over me. But I'd never been physically picked on. I'd never been like physically attacked, physically hurt. And when I started in this new school, it was all physical. I had a kid that put chicken wire around my neck during art class, like while the teacher's back was turned. I had a guy throw an iron bar at me during chemistry class, stuff like that. And so, like you say, I remember going to school and that nervousness of like, well, what fresh hell fucking awaits me today? Oh my God. But the reason I asked that question was because many, many years later, I was about 30, I guess. Yeah, I was 31, yeah. I met one of my former bullies, like you just said, but he walked up and he said, his name is Richie. He walked up and he was like, dude, I was an absolute dick in secondary school. I shouldn't have treated you the way I did. I shouldn't have treated lots of people the way I did. And I'm really, really sorry. I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me. And like you said, my respect, I was like, of course I fucking forgive you. You've clearly changed as a person. But yeah, that's why I was curious. Huge respect to Richie.
No, I was just about to say, if I would have heard those type of words, that takes a lot. That takes a lot of courage, and I think a lot of people see that apologizing or not, they see it as a weakness. And for me, I see it as more of a sign of respect and strength. To be able to admit, it's very hard. A lot of people, and you know, we can kind of jump onto like the Twitch platform where, you know, a lot of people don't hold themselves accountable for what they say. I feel like it's almost a lot of high school, you know, what drama. It's like, I'm a 37-year-old man. I can't, you know, I took off gaming for about 5 years. You know, and I came back, I'm like, all right, what's Twitch got for me today? And it's this, and Discord. And it's like, so it's one of those things where I kind of look and I feel that a lot of these kids, adults, they're like us. I think some of them, you know, for me, it was never about having acceptance. I've been accepted in where I've been. It was more just, I dealt with the bullying. And as I got older, I think it was the less fucks I gave. It's like the less, it's just like, I just stopped. But, you know, I think this leads into another really important thing. And that's, you know, this goes into mental health. And this leads into, you know, acceptance. You know, when you're not accepted in school or when you're bullied, and, you know, the mindset, the psyche it starts to get mentally stressed out. And the more you think about it, the more you're ruining your nervous system. And the more you're ruining your nervous system, the more your anxiety starts to peak. So for me, I'm on the clinical level of anxiety. For me, I always get, if a zombie apocalypse ever comes, everybody's like, I'm going to Walmart, I'm getting guns. I'm like, I'm going to CVS. I need my fucking meds for at least a year.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I'm like,
shit.
I'm getting this. I'm like, you need anything? You want it's just like, but for me, it's just like and this is where, like, when people see this, like even when I'm at the gym, they're like, oh, what's that guy on? It's like the status quo changes. And, people, if you actually did pull the number, and for me, being on the software engineering and data science aspect and mathematics, I look at the numbers of how many people have, some type of, health issue or mental issue. We're actually the norm.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Let's I am glad that the world is moving to a slight, okay, from where I was. So I was diagnosed with, because we're talking about this stuff, I was diagnosed with manic depression when I was 16. My mother was very supportive of me, always was very like, okay, let's get this looked at. A lot of the rest of my family are very old school Irish, and they're like, oh, it's just a phase. He's just emo. He'll be grand. Don't worry about it. Now look, I know I look emo, okay? But I never grew out of it, Dad. I never no, but I think that, like, from where that was when I was diagnosed at 16 to where we are now, my brother is a great example of this. My brother's 9 years older than me. Back in the day when I was first diagnosed, my brother was like the type of person that was like, the fuck? That's not even real, is it? Like, what? No, just cheer up. Like, and now my brother is the type of person who is like, he will reach out to me and be like, hey, dude, I'm feeling a bit down. Like, can we catch up? And I'm like, I do think the world is progressing. Maybe not at the rate that I would like it to. Maybe I would wish that acceptance was, I think you said it one night when we were chatting, and it's so true. We should be able to talk about things like medication that we have for these mental illnesses, the same as we do about, like, oh yeah, I'm on this for my trapped nerve, I'm on this for my bad heart, I'm on this for my, it's like, yeah, my brain's not working great at the moment, so I need this medication for it. We should be able to talk about it openly.
Eventually, I don't know if it's, and I think I think my comment was, I don't know if it's going to be in our lifetime. For me, it's just like, I want to be able to talk about my medication like I'm taking a protein shake. Like, I'm going to make a protein shake, get some creatine, take some of my, take some of my Klonopin as well to make sure. I want to be able to have that smooth of a transition where it's normal.
And where nobody bats an eyelid or is like, are you okay? Are you okay? Like, people are just like, oh, cool, good, yeah, okay.
When they're like, oh my God, like, what do you want? I'm like, stuff that actually lets me function. Because without this, for me, I'm sorry to say, like, I have a very intense job. Without my medication, I can't function. I would be shit at my job. And I think, I think a lot of people that get diagnosed, just because of the status quo of what they've grown up on and the bullying and what they've heard. And it's funny because like 80% of the world is on some type of medication. Like, that's actually a fact. And it's like the 20% is like, well, we're normal. It's like, really? Are you normal? It's more, it's like, when the ratio is 4-to-1, you may want to rethink your logic there. It's so true. I always kind of laugh. It's just like, we're the normal people. I'm like, 4-to-1 odds. I like that.
We can take you.
But it's one of those things where, transitioning this over to the mental health and Discord and Twitch, I feel that most people on this platform are going to be more of the introverted side. It's one of those things where I've started to pick up on social cues, social anxiety, being able to talk, being able to reach out, and I feel bad because for me, I'm an INTJ. I'm actually, I'm very introverted. Like, after this conversation, I'm going to decompress for like 2 hours and just stay away from everybody.
Yes, yeah.
But when it comes down to it, a lot of people don't. I don't want to categorize it, but I want to say that most of the people, the conversations I've had, even the people, the loved ones and the people I've cared about on here, they're socially awkward.
Yeah, no, I totally get you.
And it's not a fault to them. It's a fault to what they're used to. And it's more that they're, I don't want to say it's a product of their environment, but you have, like, this goes back to what we were talking about. You have no idea how everybody was raised here. You have no idea what they have going on in life. You may have people that have, you said it yourself, like, you've gone through things that have changed your life. You have no idea. Someone may be on the edge and they're just talking to you, and you may have just literally, like, made their day.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I can actually speak directly to that today, the day that we're recording this, which is Friday, the 9th of April, I literally was having a funk day. Like, I was having a funk day. I wasn't feeling good, and for several reasons. I mean, between the pain that I'm feeling with the trapped nerve, I was having some issues, like, surrounding familial stuff, and literally I tuned into Sweetheart Ali's stream, and an hour later, just from the banter back and forth and stuff, I was like, I feel better, man. And like, so as you say, if somebody treats you, if I had gone into somebody's stream today and they didn't treat me with any degree of respect or decency or anything, it could have hurt rather than helped. You know what I mean? And so I get what you're saying. Like, I think you can have an effect as a streamer. Like, you can have a positive or a negative effect on the people that are watching you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the purpose of Twitch's intention. If usually, and this is why I always say, and this is why I do the joke on, if you find good content, like, normally for me, and I say this out of respect to the female streamers in our community, they have such good content because definitely. For a fact they don't do this. They don't get the chest and say, look how beautiful I am, look at my content, give me your money, give me your donation, that's all I'm here for. And
no,
I do that
streams.
No hot touch streams. No one does hot touch streams. It's just like that. But that's what, and this is the disgusting part. Like, those are the people that we're getting recommended to, and it's just like why? Like, that's like,
and like, again, to not generalize, I'm sure there's an audience that is what they're on Twitch for, and that is what they want. And if they want it, and there's somebody out there providing it, and that's where they want to throw their money and their donos, go ahead, you're fine. Like, but that is not what I'm on Twitch for. Like, I have no interest. Like you say, it's really funny because the YouTube algorithm has been recommending me some fucking wild shit lately, man. I've been like, why is it recommending me this stuff? Like, what has given it the thought that I mean, I'll just watch for 5 seconds. No,
the 5 seconds are always, it's like, all right, I gotta be good here. Gotta be good here. It's just like, come on, like, it's, you come out of Twitch as a platform to, like, be able to be yourself, and it's just like, you have people doing it, I'm like, that's what Pornhub is for. Go there. Like, go make your millions there. Like, I never understood that. It's just like, you're degrading yourself, and you're literally setting, like, when I look at that, you're setting women back, like 100 years, and what women have been fighting for like Susan B. Anthony, women's rights in the States, and even, it's just like, this is what we are protecting, while these civil leaders in the 1940s, 1950s fought for civil independence and women's, like, rights, and it's like, and this is what you're doing. Like,
and again, to kind of just say, like, from my perspective, I'm like, and if that is, I do agree with you. There are loads of other platforms where that is more the thing, whereas Twitch it was originally designed to be a gaming platform. I know that people do music on there, they do art on there, they do other stuff on there now, but what I always say is, like, if somebody wants to do it and somebody wants to watch them, leave them off. But I get what you mean. And also, I will say that it does make it more impressive than when you see people like, my daughter is a huge fan of a YouTube creator who's also a streamer, LD Shadow Lady, and she doesn't do any of that shit. She's all about, like, actually being a real human being. So I'm like, when I watch my daughter watching her, I'm like, this is good. She's seeing an example of a legitimate person.
That's always, I mean, you can't ask for anything better than that. It's just like, if you have your daughter looking at something with like 15K views and it's not good, it's like, oh, where did I go wrong? Like, it's like you look in the mirror and it's like, this is on you, buddy. Self accountability. This is on you.
You failed. No achievement unlocked for you, man. No achievement unlocked.
Oh my
God. No, but it's true, right? Like, to kind of speak a little bit to what you're talking about with the Twitch side of things, I did not understand Twitch, right? I'm the same age as yourself. I turned 38 this year as well. And for a long time, I was like a grouchy old man about this platform. I was like, why the fuck would you watch people playing games? Just pick up the controller and fucking play it yourself. What's wrong with people? I didn't understand it. I was very much like, it was like when I showed my parents email back in the day. They were like, why couldn't I just send a letter? I don't get this. I didn't understand it. And then at the start of the pandemic, I was used to going out every weekend with my friends, making movies, hanging out, making memories. I hadn't spent a weekend alone in like 6 years, man. Like, I really hadn't. I'm so used to that life. And when the pandemic, the lockdown first happened, I was like, I'm gonna go fucking crazy if I don't find somewhere to connect with people. And that's why I was like, okay, well, let's try this streaming lark. Let's see what it's like. And immediately, I mean, what I will say is, when I first started back in July of 2020, I would say out of everybody that I watched back then, I probably still am friends with or close to about 3 out of maybe 60 people that I first started kind of coming out. And because a lot of them, I started to realize what we're probably going to talk about here, that there wasn't a reciprocity. Fuck's sake, stop trying to use your big words, Paddy.
Reciprocation, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, there wasn't that with their relationship. It felt like it was one-sided. It felt like it was me doing all the work and being like, trying to stay in contact, trying to support and help out. And it felt like they were just, now a couple, I mean, I'll give a shout out here to my oldest Twitch friend, one of my best friends in the entire world, CB Item Box. I love him to bits. We've talked about it before, man, that you said, like, is this somebody you would literally like drop what you're doing? Like, if CB Item Box was like, dude, I'm going through a really rough time right now, I'd be like, I'm gonna be on the first fucking plane to Boston, buddy, and I'm gonna be there at your side to be there with you. Because he's one of my, and he, out of that first batch of people, he's one of the only people that is like, that connection has stayed true, you know, 100%. But that's why I first came to Twitch, is long story short.
For me, I was a pro gamer. I played for SourPatchGramps. I played Counter-Strike. I was back in I played against Hiko, like we always Ninja, all these guys. That's the level I was playing. I remember Allison came into my stream and she was watching me play Valorant. She's like, "Are you good?" And I'm playing on like Immortal and I'm just tearing people's heads off. She's like, "Oh my God!" I'm like, so, but for me, the platform itself, it has always been around, and that's how I saw it. I always saw it as a kind of gaming platform. I never really did the streaming thing. I just played the game. I played professionally. I would go to LAN tournaments. I'd be flown out to Cali, to New York, or go to within New York City or wherever the tournaments are. But now it's different. It's different, and the one thing that I do see, I see a lot of. I feel like you said the comment before, it's like being that groggy old man on Discord and Twitch, where it's just like I wasn't that before. Now it's like I feel like we've stepped into a new role, and when we talk about bullying, like I still see it on here. I see it on I see it on Discord. I see it in Twitch. It's funny because even people have tried bullying me on Discord and tried running me out of chats in Twitch, and I sit here, I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. I'm like, you do realize, like, I'm 37. I have a lot more in life than fucking worrying about a Twitch chat and coming on Discord and oh my God, you hear this? I'm like, like.
I know.
It's more of, I try to be more of a guy, more thing of a mentor, of a guidance when people need it. And for me, I try to explain. This goes back to friendship. What's the definition of a friend? And for a lot of people on here, I'm not sure, because they don't know, they never had the IRL friends. They never were accepted by, people. They were bullied. It's one of those things where I'm not too sure if they understand what an actual friendship is. And it's one of those, I don't want to say it's scary, but I think they're in the process of learning on this platform, where they, sometimes they say, things that they may think is normal and it's completely out of line. But at that time, it's just like, and it's happened. I've seen it. I'm like, hey, why'd you write this? And they're like, oh, what do you mean? I'm like, this is pretty, I'm pretty abrasive and this is pretty aggressive. And they're like, oh, this is me being normal. I'm like, kind of tone it. So what I'm trying to say is, you don't know the social understanding of the person behind the computer. And that's the thing. Everybody here can literally jibba jabba behind a computer screen. And that's why I sit there and I tell a lot of people, a friendship, before you literally tell everybody your entire being, and this is how to protect yourself. I've learned it from this growing up in the hood, having a lot of friends having my back, knowing, fake people, you keep people at an arm's length.
Oh yeah.
Always. Yeah. Always. Don't really care if they are the nicest human beings, because you can have a lot of, we call those false positives.
Yeah.
That they come off as this, and they're literally covert narcissists that know how to manipulate. So it's one of those things that I see that, I'm not going to lie, I see that from a lot of, I hate to, categorize this, but I've seen that from a lot of more of the females on here towards me. And I don't have any tolerance for that. And I've lost some friendships because I call their bullshit out. For me, it's a lonely road, because for me, I don't have a filter, and I kind of say it how it is. And unfortunately, if you can't hold accountability, in the end, it's going to do me a favor, because at the end, if you can't hold yourself accountable, you're never going to be able to be a good friend for me, or we're not going to be able to have that friendship. So what I always tell, like, the younger kids here, hold people at an arm's length. Let them earn your time. Your time is valuable. Even though you may not think so, your time is valuable. But Mike, I've had depression. Like, they don't have to fucking know that. Why would you lead in with a conversation like that? Just say, hey, what's up, man? Like, I like your content. I'm going to go follow you. I like what you do. Why do you have to go into full detail about, holy crap, this is my life. Accept it right now. And it's like, no. So I feel like for us, the guys that are older, the guys that actually understand this, the being on medication for, going on 18 years now. And I feel like it's more of a mentor guidance role towards the younger generation, where, I look at other chats and it's just like, I'm writing my entire story into somebody's Discord, and it's just like, come on. Like, I get it. It's just like, I want sympathy. I get it. I really do. But that's they don't know any better.
Oh, exactly. That's what I was about to say. Yeah. Some people just really, as you said, I think you said it really well earlier. Like, some people, maybe they're in an environment as well where, like, I get it to some extent, because maybe they're in an environment where there's nobody that they can talk about that stuff. Maybe their family and their friend, or maybe, like, as you said, they might not have any IRL friends, and they feel like this is an avenue that they can. And especially, you see, right, like, the thing is, a lot of streamers, and myself included, will say things like, look, if you ever want to talk, I'm here. And I do mean it, but again, there is a way and a means to that, not just because, again, what I try to make very clear, and I said this on one of my streams the other night, because somebody was telling me that they were going through a really rough time, and I said, that's awful, man, that's rough. Please contact a therapist. Please contact a professional, because I'm not going to be able to help you. Like, I mean, I'm here to play fucking Hades, dude. I'm not, like, you know what I mean?
I'm here to play with the devil.
Yeah, I'm here playing Hades, thirsting after gods, man. There's nothing I can do for your situation right now. And, like, in that chat, I also explained something because the person was like, oh, but I'm fine though. I don't need to speak to someone. I'm like, but you're here talking to me. And then I also said, I was like, you know what? Sometimes we go to the doctor for a checkup, right? Like, as in, we don't know if there's anything specifically wrong with us, but we're like, shit, I better go for a checkup because it's been a while since I got a checkup. So let's just see if everything's working okay. You can go to a therapist for in the exact same way. It doesn't have to be at its worst before you do that. Like, sometimes preempting that is the most healthy thing you can do.
If you want my honest opinion, I think everybody, I think at a young age you should be taught this, and I think everybody should see a therapist because not everybody can talk to their families. Not everybody can. I can't. I couldn't talk to my brother about, especially, for me, it was, always following my brother's shadow. He's a prodigy. My brother went to MIT. The guy's a genius.
Oh wow, yeah.
I had to follow that, and I almost did, but I was more of an athlete. For
Physical,
me, I was more of the, so I had my own expectations to set, but, when it comes down to it, I feel, coming back to the Twitch, the Twitch, my God, the Twitch and Discord, I feel there is, from what I gather from a lot of conversations, there are a lot of people that are more insecure with themselves, and, they start bullying on here, and they start bad-mouthing other people. And I feel, when we were talking about this before, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think they're more upset because and this goes back to, I've literally told people, learn how to handle your insecurities, because that's what's ruining this.
Oh yeah.
That's what's ruining our friendship. And, and it's one of those things where it's like, could I have been a little better on the way I presented it? Absolutely. And this is where I say, like, my narcissistic empathy, because I was never given empathy. So for me, it's just like really, like, so, everybody has insecurities. Yeah. I have insecurities. God, yeah. For me, like, it's just when you use your insecurity as an excuse, that's where I get upset. For me, it's more, all right, like, hey, I'm your friend. I care about you. I love you. This is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing you're insecure here, and this is invalidating our friendship or anything like that. And it's just like, well, I'm not going to change anything. Fuck yourself. Accept it. I'm like, I don't have to. And this is why I tell everybody, I'm like, you get to choose your friends.
Yes.
You get to choose your friends on this. This is why I say, like, hold everybody at arm's length. Really, it's almost like interviewing, kind of, but once you get a vibe from somebody, it's like, all right, can this person be held accountable? Are they going to apologize? With other people, like, there would be, like, they're like, I want an apology from you. I'm like, you know what? I will apologize. Just because there are some times where I've raised my voice and things like that, and it's like, this is where you're supposed to, and it's like, and it's like, I don't get it. I'm like, wow. So that's where I mean, like, you get to choose the people in your life. You get to choose your friends. And that's why, even the people in here that are insecure and they don't have IRL friends, they think, I don't have friends. I have to be nice and I have to do this and I have to do this. I'm like, no, you still get to have a backbone. You still get to experience how to choose the right friends, where that's why I sit there. I'm like, be nice to the people that are nice to you. And if you want to be friends with somebody outside of the realm that you're not normal talking to, being nice never hurts. If you're nice and then they're an asshole back, you got your answer. You got your answer. Like,
it speaks to something that I've been saying a lot about Twitch and all social media platforms, actually, not specifically just Twitch, but I've been saying this for the last while. I've been saying, like, if you're on Twitch, you're on Twitter, or you're on Facebook, or you're on Instagram, that's your space. You are in control. Like, if you come on my stream and you don't like what I'm doing, and somebody starts giving me shit over it, it's my space. You wouldn't come into my house and be like, man, your wallpaper's fucking ugly. Like, Jesus Christ, did you buy that? That's fucking awful. God. Like, I have the right to then be like, okay, can you get the fuck out of my house, please? Like, I don't even know you. I don't even know you. Get out of here.
So you see that door you just walked in? Yeah. Walk right back down.
Yeah. And like, with our online spaces, we should be a lot more comfortable with saying, hey, I don't like your vibe. It doesn't jibe with mine. I don't think you're a bad person. I don't dislike you, but we don't click. Goodbye. It was nice to have a brief encounter.
Yeah, and you know, and here's the thing. Like I've gotten into it with a few people here, and it's more like instead of wanting to solve a problem, it just like felt like I held them accountable and they ran, and it's just like you answered my question. You literally answered. You know, I've been thinking about it for probably this happened about 3 months on the Twitch. I would say back in 2020 with a few people. And I sat there, I'm like, all right, well, I know welcome back to Discord and Twitch. And then, for the last 2 or 3 months, it's just like getting to know new people. And, it's one of those things where I'm like, this is the best thing I can possibly say. And I really hope anybody that watches this really takes what I'm about to say very literally. You have a certain value about yourself. No one should ever, if that person lowers that value at all, get them out of your fucking life. They don't deserve that, or they don't deserve you. At that point, anybody that it's like literally like you walk into the high school, you see that bully, my value goes down. I come on Discord, I see that. No, I'm not. You have the choice. Anybody that lowers the value that for a fact, for me, I worked my ass off. I work for the top bank in the world, and now I'm gonna be switching over probably most likely to Amazon. Like,
yeah.
And I have a good family. I have good friends. I have great connections with people. I'm not gonna let 1 or 2 people devalue everything that I stand for. And for me, I don't give a shit how long I've known them. I've gotten rid of friends of 10 years because I've seen them turn into shitty people, and then so it's like, hey Mike, man, like, I'm like, oh hell no, absolutely not. Stay away. No, like for me, it's
I had a cousin that I was very close to. Like, we practically grew up together. He was more like a little brother than a cousin, and I always made excuses for him, and he was not a good person in a lot of ways, and I always made excuses. I was like, well, he comes from a broken home and this and that and all the rest of it. But then he started going down a road that like you just said there, I just couldn't tolerate. And I remember my daughter, my eldest daughter had just been born, so this is like 2011, and he came by my house and literally was like, oh, by the way, like if the cops come, tell them I'm not here. And I was like, get the fuck out of my house. Get out of my house and don't come back. Get out. I'm done. I just had a fucking kid. I don't want you bringing your shit around here. I don't want it. And like I say, he was more like a brother to me than anything. And I was just like, no, I can't. If you're not willing to change after 30 odd years, I'm not. I refuse. I'm not allowing it.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. Here's the thing, like, and change doesn't. Change, it won't happen overnight. Mm-hmm. But and for me, it's one of those things where I've just said, like, for a few people on here, it's not like go fuck yourself. For me, I'm never we spoke about it in the beginning. It's give second chances. Yeah. If someone comes back into your life that you really care about and like, hey, like, even if they can't apologize or they just come out and be like, hey, like, can we talk?
Yeah.
Of course I'm going to have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's just like, I love gaining value in good people. If you were a good person starting off with me, and I valued you as a good person, and towards the end, then I started seeing your value going down, that doesn't mean, oh my God, like, your value is this, because no, it's, you were a good person. It's maybe, hey, like, maybe you didn't know how to interact with me, or maybe there are things I did on my side.
Yeah,
maybe
well,
that's the whole point of a conversation. That's why I kind of sit here and I'm like, you should always look for value in friends. The people, like, for example, I'm gonna bring him. I know you just did an interview with him, Mr. Moy Barajas.
Oh yes, Moicardo, the most beautiful man on the planet.
I actually ordered a tank top with Moicardo and it's coming in the mail.
Yes.
You have no idea.
Oh
We have to get you in one of those VCs. I swear to God, it is just. It starts off. We start off by talking about the stream, like how the stream went. Like we'll talk about how my stream went, or Moy's stream, or Mega Boss's stream, and then it's just like, We start playing with the Reface app, and then you have Moy in the background, that son of a bitch, playing with Photoshop, and then he's like, you guys are gonna fucking love this, and there it is. And I'm like, holy shit, and he actually made it work. And it's a thing. It's a fucking thing now.
Can I, this is actually a really good way for me to segue into another little topic about this though, right? We've said in the past, or at least I've heard you say, and I don't know if you've ever heard me say it, but I completely agree with it, which is that, like, you know, let's have real discussions. Let's have actual, like, let's not be juvenile all the time. Let's not, like, we can have a laugh, we can have a joke, we can piss take, but let's get real when we need to. The thing about someone like Moy that I love is that he is perfectly adaptable to that. Like, he can, same with you, same with Megaboss. This is why I think I connected with you guys, is because you can literally go from, like, dying laughing about something completely fucking ridiculous to, like, 5 minutes later being actually talking about something, like, a real conversation. Like, let's actually dig into this, you know, let's dig our heels in and get dirty, like. But yeah, that's so important, being able to have those kind of conversations.
I think it's a healthy balance. It's one of those things that comes over time. And for me, I think, you know, starting out, I would say early on in my early 20s, because, you know, unfortunately I'm a company guy, I'm a corporate guy, and I had a very like, if you actually would have saw me, I'm gonna age myself, holy shit.
Oh no.
If you would have saw me like 16, 17 years ago out of college, you would have been like, holy shit, like, this guy I'm just pure seriousness. I'm a job man. I wake up at 5 o'clock, gym, work, that's it. And, you know, I missed out on a lot. I missed out on a lot of life. I pushed away a lot of good people because I was such a serious person, but I always had that goofy personality about me. Yeah. And I think as you gain experience, you know how to actually use or be able to adapt to that healthy balance. And Moy is lucky because he's adapting to it early on.
Yeah, exactly.
So for me, it's, yeah, like, I work a hard enough job where I use this platform, and I'm going to say it exactly how it is. I use it as a hobby. People think golf is a hobby. Golf is actually a sport, but I'm going to say golf is a hobby in this case because I actually love golfing, and I try to go every weekend. And, like, last weekend, wake up at 5:30, get a quick round, then stream. I like to be able to connect with people and then play video games because video games are a big part of me. And I would also state that, you know, I like Twitch as a hobby, where I think a lot of people don't know that balance, where it's like, oh man, like, he's really going at it. He's got this many followers, and I sit there, I'm like, I don't care. Like,
yeah,
the 200 follower thing. You know, I actually wrote that on the thing 5 seconds after I went on my Twitch page. I'm like, holy shit, I'm at 199. Yeah, 200. Fucking right. I told him, I'm like, is that important? I was like, is that an achievement? He started laughing. It's like, for me, it's my comfortable number of people in my chat is between 10 and 20, because I know for a fact those are the people that I'm going to be close with, and I'm going to be talking back and forth and shooting the shit. So going into this environment with the right mindset to make friends, to game, this isn't a job. I'm sorry, I have one of those. It sucks. It sucks so much. There's so many days I wake up at 5:30 in the morning and I look at the freezer and hit my head and like, why do I work for the fucking devil? And I call my mom and I'm like, she's like, honey, what's wrong? I'm like, no, it's just another day in paradise, Mom. It's just another day in paradise.
It's so funny you say that, because I saw somebody tweet over on Twitter earlier. They were like, if you ever meet somebody who says, you ask them how they are and they say it's just another day in paradise, that person hates their life. It's so weird. Like, when you said that, I literally thought of that tweet. But like, I keep trying to remind people as well, though, that, right, like, at the moment I have nothing else on, right? I'm making YouTube videos. I'm Twitch streaming. My job got completely destroyed. Well, what I do, filmmaking, I mean, Ireland is still in a level 5 lockdown, which means unless you're with your own household, your own, like, you can't go 5 kilometers from your house, and you can't talk to anybody. You can't associate with anybody else.
Wow.
5 kilometers. Now, you can go more than 5 kilometers if your nearest store is further than 5 kilometers. But, like, you'll be stopped by the police. It's happened to me loads of times. Like, when I'm just going to get, like, groceries and stuff, it's like, where are you going? We're going to see if you're back in a certain amount of time. And if you're not, like, it's crazy. It's intense. So, filmmaking's a no-no. Filmmaking's out. And so that was, the YouTube was like, okay, I'm just going to do something to occupy my time. Again, it was not like, I'm going to become YouTube famous and I'm going to have 10 bazillion subscribers. It was like, I'm just going to use this time to do something fun and connect with people and enjoy myself while I'm not, like, working my ass off, which I then turned into working my ass off.
That's everything you started this off.
And then, and like, but I know that come July, August, if things go to plan, like, I'm going to be back on film sets. And I'm not going to be able to be as active or as busy on Twitch, on YouTube as I have been. I know I'm not. Because that's going to be, at the moment, there is Twitch, YouTube, my family, that they're the different components of my life that I'm doing, and still little bits of the filmmaking stuff, because we're doing pre-production on a film, so that's still there to some extent. But I know that when that comes back in full, it's like you said, it's going to be like, well, I have a job, and this is something that I do on the side for fun and for relieving stress and enjoying myself. It's not my job.
Yeah, and I think again, hitting the nail on the head. I think with the wrong mindset, you're not gonna enjoy your time on Discord or Twitch if that's your mindset. If you're coming on here and it's like, I want to try to get as many followers as possible. I want to be the next, Twitch god, and it's just like, okay, like for me, I say, maybe it's because I'm old. I always throw that out there. Maybe it's because I'm a boomer, and I get called a boomer a lot by my own mods. That's actually how you become one of my mods. The more shit talking you do to me in my own chat, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna mod you. Yes. And that's all. That's why I got Mega, Moy, and Kate. They just, it's like they never. There's not one chat or one stream where I'm like, this is gonna be boring. No, my streams are usually really impactful, and it's like, hey, Mike, yeah, great upper body, skipping a lot of leg day. Man, I went the next time I was streaming, I looked for pants. Fuck Mega Boss. Son of a bitch.
I'll never forget, he said you looked like a Final Fantasy character.
He said, hold on. I am pulling this up right now. This is what he said to me last night. This guy, I'm sending it to you via Discord right now. I was crying. I was literally crying.
Guys, I'll put the picture in here in the edit so that you guys can see what we were talking about.
Oh my God. For like 10 minutes, I was just red. I'm like, you son of a bitch.
I have to say again though, right? Like you to bring it back to the serious side again, right? You've talked about a lot of stuff here that I totally agree with, but like one of the big things is like you've talked about this in the past, and I agree with it as well. Okay, actually, no, I got burned by a lot of people over the last 7 or 8 years. I got burned by a lot of friends who turned out to not be friends, who I didn't realize were complete narcissists, who were only out for themselves, who didn't care about like actually being friends. They had their own selfish reasons for things, all that kind of stuff. They couldn't be held accountable. They couldn't apologize. They couldn't do any of that stuff. So where I used to be an incredibly trusting person up till about 2015, like I was overly trusting. I would trust anybody. I'd meet a guy in the street and be like, I'll park your car for you, dude. And I'd be like, yeah, cool, man, do it. And he's gone with my fucking car. Like now I'm definitely way more guarded than I was before. I'm definitely a lot more cautious. I still like to meet people. I like to connect with people, but as I always say, there is still a distance. There's still a space and a distance, even in real life, like not specifically just on online platforms. I like meeting people, but I will always be kind of like, let's get a read on this person. Yeah, exactly.
Arm's length.
Yeah.
Always. You're hitting it on the head. Arm's length. That's always been my rule. I hate to say, like, this is and here's the thing: you hear the word like narcissist, and there's different types. You know, what I see a lot on, you know, for me, don't get me wrong, I have narcissistic tendencies, like empathy.
Same.
You know, for me, am I trusting of people? Up to my middle finger, up to the arm's length. You know, for me, I give trust. I always give trust. It's not the other way. It's like a lot of people, and this is like you have two different ways of going about it. It's like you have to earn my trust, or it's just like I'll just give you trust until you know. For me, it's more inviting and more on the positive. So I'm always trying to get the positive approach. It's like, all right, here's the deal. You got my trust. Like for me, it's just like you don't have to earn it. You know, as we progress, the more I can see it, the more it's like, all right, I actually can trust this person. Instead of like, it feel like it's almost like an intention. Like I want him to trust me really bad. I'm gonna keep on doing this. I'm gonna buy him this person's stuff. I'm like, don't buy your friends.
Oh God!
Don't go on. It's just like when I see people dropping thousands of dollars on Twitch, I'm like, the fuck are you doing? It's just like, for me, when I donate to Moy, when I donate to Ali, I'm like, I'm already friends with these people. I'm donating because I love their content.
I've seen a culture, even though sometimes on Twitch. Sorry to cut you off, Mike.
No, you're good.
I've seen this little bit of a culture sometimes where I've seen people actually, even underhandedly, or kind of like they're doing it like they're joking, but I still see truth in it, where they almost shame people for like, oh, you don't really support, you don't gift sub, you don't give bits, you don't blah. And I'm like, I'm like, that's not, again, right, if you have it to spare and you're like, you know what, this person's giving me a lot of good content, a lot of fun, yeah, fuck it, I'll drop 5 gift subs right now, fuck it. But like, you should never feel pressured like that, oh, to support this person, that means financially support them. Like, that's not how it works.
What I don't like that.
Yeah, no.
Because that's underhandedly like it's an underhanded method of manipulation.
Yeah.
And 100%. I've had and this is where it goes back to. I've had that, especially, you know, I haven't really seen it from males doing it with me. More of the females that I'm friends with saying like, and you know, manipulating my friends to not like there are people that don't like me on here, and you know what? I don't care. For me, I know what I bring to the table. I know my value. I know, for me, like, I've been here for, you know, in this community for about 9-10 months. I'm pretty, everybody knows kind of what I stand for. So usually if you're targeting me, it's just like, out of any person you could have targeted, you're literally the worst human. It's just like, I'm the person that goes after bullies and goes after the bullshitters. And I'm like, I'm the worst person to target. Like, I'm your mortal enemy. Like, yeah. I sat there, I'm like, did you literally wake up on side of the bed? I'm like, I'm gonna do something really stupid today.
Graham sees this shit and he's like, cracks knuckles. All right, let's do this. I mean, I think you have, you know that you have a lot of value, which is important. But I think, like, even people that I've introduced to your content, my best friend in the world, like, legitimately, in real life and on here, everywhere, Baz Not a Gamer, Barry Fahy, me and him are literally brothers. Well, actually, I say that, but we got married in 2019, so we're not brothers. That would be weird. We're husbands.
God. It's like, brother, we're brother. We're husbands. It's like, okay, I mean, which one? Come on, man. Like, let's get the fucking program here.
We gotta get this worked out, because I know you're Irish and all, and it can be kind of backwards, but like, let's get this figured out. Baz messaged me right before I was like, hey dude, I'm gonna have to hop off. I'm going chatting to Gramps. And he was like, oh shit, Gramps is awesome. Tell him I said, hey, I loved hanging out in his stream yesterday. He seems like a really cool, really genuine guy. Now Baz is like me. He has been through the fucking ringer of assholes and people abusing him, because he had thousands of euros of camera gear. So the amount of people that when he started out, the amount doing filmmaking, the amount of people that tried to use him and exploit him for the fact that he had so much amazing equipment, there was a vast amount of people who were doing that shit. So Baz has a bullshit filter as well. He has dealt with a lot of people who've, you know, which is why he's always saying to me, dude, like, you know, he tested me on our first ever shoot to see if I was the type of person that he wanted to continue making movies with. I can't actually say here what that is, but when we get off air at the end, if you remember, remind me and I'll tell you what he said to test me. But it's it was entertaining. But him, a couple of Mr. Davy Boy, they were all like, tell Gramps I was asking for him, tell Gramps I was asking for him. So you connect with people, you know, you matter, you have value, but you have value 100%.
I try. I'm not gonna sit here. I try. Like, it's one of those things where I had a conversation the other night with Moy, and even like with my lead-ins or when I'm talking on my own stream, and just dropping, the truth bombs and things like that. And it's just like, I can say all of this, but how many people are actually going to, it's walk the walk, talk the talk, walk the walk, and it's like, I'm gonna talk the talk and make myself really good, and it's like, at the end of the day, maybe like one person is gonna listen, and it's just, I feel like my words sometimes go to deaf ears, but this is the issue. It's more people don't want to actually do it because of their own there's insecurities. Yeah. Where it's just more, hey, like, I'm more worried. I want to do this, but it's just like, I get it. Like, you're worried about failing. We trust me. The one thing that most people on here, I would say more often because you're introverted and they've gone through this, is they don't want to add another, a dagger in them for failing at something. Mm-hmm. And it's just one of those things where it's like, you learn the best by failing.
Oh,
literally.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's the best. It is the best way to actually find, like, hey, you want to be friends? Yeah. 3 months later, hi, you're treating me like shit. Yeah, fuck yourself. All right, I learned something today. Like,
yes.
It's that easy. It's one of those things you learn best, and when you fail, it triggers something in the brain where it sticks with you comparatively to something not important.
Mm-hmm. I will say that can be cultural as well, because, right, in Ireland, failure even still, I guess, to some extent, failure is not treated as something that is kind of like, I think when I was a video game developer and I was going to the US or like dealing with the US for stuff and everything, there was an attitude of like, hey dude, like all the best fucking businesses, they failed first, and then the guy went off and learned from his failures and got better and did something bigger and better. Here in Ireland, it was like, you failed, like, even to the degree that our startup businesses had like a penalization and a punishment of like, you couldn't if you failed and you had to shut your business down here, you had to wait 10 or 12 years before you could be a shareholder and another business again. So you were punished. You were basically put in business jail for like 10 to 12 years. Gramps, you'll appreciate this. I had a video game company from 2009 to 2012. Me and two other guys set it up. We made a bunch of games, Flash games. We made a couple of mobile games, and then we made a couple of games for PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Portable that did all right. They were paying the bills. We were three guys with very little experience in the business world. I was doing all the business management. The guys were a programmer and an artist. It all went to shit, right? It all went to shit and fell apart because we weren't communicating. We were all 28 or something, and none of us were communicating what our goals for the company were, what we wanted to get out of it, what the end achievement, like where do we all see ourselves? Like, where is this business going to take us? What do we want to do? What did we actually want to make? It fell apart. I got pushed out of the company. I am so grateful for that experience. I'm so grateful for that experience because I learned more about communication, working with a team, friendship, all that stuff. Like that, now that I've become a filmmaker, all of that stuff is so valuable to how I am directing a film set, like knowing who to communicate with and all that stuff. So yeah, you're right. Failure is important. And I think some cultures don't teach people that. They don't endorse it. They don't big it up. They make it seem bad and like a dirty, wrong little thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. Like, for me, I always try to explain my job to people. I mean, there are only maybe 3 people on here that actually understand what the hell I do. And it's like, I try to explain. I'm like, all right, so, there are, even though I'm an engineer, I'm more on the financial engineering side. So I'm more like algorithmically strong, where when I write code and, I'm looking at, I have, 14, 15 years in this area where I'm looking at kids, like we have we have some in Bengaluru and in Hong Kong, and I'm watching these kids just that are 5 years out of college. They're writing better code than I am, and I'm sitting here like, holy shit. For me, it's one of those things where failure, you brought up a really strong point. Failure in different environments and different cultures is sometimes not socially acceptable. And that is something I know in the States. I can tell you right now, from an educational standpoint, we are way behind. Like, we are way behind everybody. Anybody east of us, it's not not even remotely close. And, you know, people hate saying that, like, our education system is good. It's really good. It's so good. I'm like, our education is jack shit. It is a nursery for, you know, kids in their, you know, 18 to 21-year-old period that they just don't, you know, mom and dad just don't want them in the house anymore. While you have kids in Hong Kong that are literally, in Mumbai, India, that are coding at age 9, age 10. And I'm sitting there like, I had someone I had a 24-year-old correct my code. I'm like, at first I was like, kid, fuck you. And second, I'm like, kid, fuck you. And second, I'm like, I need to teach this kid how to manage. Like, it's basically finding out, like, and it's like, I failed on my part. I'm like, shit, like this guy, this young kid. And then I asked him, I'm like, okay, do me a favor. Now explain it to me. And this is where he failed. His biggest thing is he can write the code out. His communication of why the code is relevant was piss poor. So I sat there, I'm like, all right, so that's identifying issues or not identifying weaknesses of someone.
Yeah,
this kid can code out of his ass, but he can't communicate with teams to understand why, hey, I did this because this. I'm like, so now it's like, all right, identification. I know what my weaknesses and flaws are. Better yourself.
Yeah. And,
you know, it's one of those things as a manager, like, I have to do that because I don't want 24-year-old. I mean, I want this kid to eventually take my job, you know, maybe when I'm, you know, down the road. But, you know, it's one of those things that you have to fail sometimes to understand where your weaknesses are, because you're never going to grow as a person. And the word I was thinking about before was passive aggressive. The passive aggressive. Oh, okay, comment.
Shit, yeah, passive aggressive. Yeah. I mean, to kind of, I mean, we're going to start winding this, we're going to start moving towards like the back end of this conversation, but like one of the things that you talk about a lot, and one thing that I think I want to know about I think we've touched on some of it, but like if we can kind of go, let's kind of give an overview to some extent, but like what are some of the traits you feel people should be on the lookout for or watch out for? Because like that, like, dude, I think my bullshit radar has improved, but at the same time, you can never be too careful, man.
Yeah. So the number one thing is accountability. Accountability is very easy to. For example, like if I say, hey, you know, Paddy, your stream was fantastic. I like this, and this. And it's just like, I continue to say that. And it's like, you come to my streams and you're like, you don't say a thing. Maybe my content just sucks, but then I'm hearing from other people, hey, your content is good. And it's just like, why isn't he actually kind of reciprocating that? When you can't reciprocate the other person's feelings, there's an issue. And that's a narcissistic tendency. That's called covert manipulation, covert narcissism, where, you know, it's people that can't hold themselves accountable. They're passive aggressive. They do those manipulation tactics. Yeah. As well as, you know, everything is, if it's not about them, it doesn't matter. So for me, it's the people that I would say accountable ability, passive aggressiveness, language use. I am very, for me, you ever hear that if it's too good to be true, it probably is? Yes. Same here. I see when people are like super like, oh my God, like this and this. I'm like, this may be, it could be genuine. There are some people like for example, Allison. I know her in and out. She genuinely is pure. Same with Hannah. Exactly. Oh my God. There are other people like, oh my God, and I am like, nope, because I've had conversations with you, and I know for a fact this is an act. And for me, it's being able to pick up on the actual language in the one-on-ones.
But even to speak to that though, right? The thing that first drew me to, I'm going to use Casey as the example here, but the reason that I first started to, like, I came in, oh, we love Casey. I came in, Casey is what introduced me to this whole group and everything, but like, I came into Casey's stream And I was like, she's bubbly, she's full of joy, she's awesome, she's fun. But then I remember, I think it was the second stream I came in from her, with her, she was like, guys, like, I'm having a kind of a down day. This is what's up. I'm not feeling this. And like, look, I'm happy. But I was like, oh shit, she's real. Like as in she's not just putting on a mask or a face and being like, everything's great. The world's wonderful. She's talking about her stuff. Same with, so Hannah was a great example. I came on Hannah's stream. We come from Ireland. Ireland has the worst mental health services in Europe, or one of them at least. And me and Hannah start talking about mental health, and Hannah literally DMs me and is like, we need to talk because like I want to talk about that stuff, but I feel like my stream isn't necessarily the place to, so let's talk about it. I think what you're saying is so accurate though. Like if it's too good to be true and somebody is never upset, never down, nothing ever bugs them, everything's perfect and sunshines and stars and rainbows,
I'm gonna give you an example. This is great. Like first few months, this happened like in 2020 and then 2020. It's same type of persona, the personality types, and it's just like, Gramps is so good, blah 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 blah. And next thing, like they're so cheery to like, this girl's I fucking hate her. I'm like,
oh my god, holy shit.
I sit there, I'm like, how do you go from like, oh my god, like this, like I heard this girl talking about this, I'm like,
holy shit.
You're supposed to be the sweet. Okay. So you can tell the people, like, I would also say that the fourth thing, balance. Good people are usually very well-rounded and balanced. They don't go from from a height to just a low, but that's also false because it's depending on medication as well. Like if you have depression, that's something that's uncontrollable. That's basically, that happens at any point. And I get it. Same thing with my anxiety. I'm like, I'm feeling like absolute shit.
I was just gonna say, yeah, with my depression now, I've been lucky. I think that I haven't necessarily had those bipolar-esque. But actually, I tell a lie. I remember I was on a stream a while back and people literally messaged me afterwards and was like, dude, what the fuck happened there? You were like high energy, super excited, and then you were just like, you just crashed. Like, you just crashed hard. And I was like, yeah, again, like, as you say, I think balance is key, but it's like with everybody, there are situations as well. Like, stuff is situational. And like you said earlier, you don't know what people are literally going through in the moment or that day. But I think if it's a common trait that you see consistently, that's different.
So I'm just read it because I just came up with something that's unbelievable. So if I actually had to label 5 right off, because I'm just thinking right now, you got me thinking, man. And
yes.
What's gonna suck is that I'm gonna be like, shit, could I have added more value in this conversation? Like, you're doing this to me right now because this is something that's very important.
Yeah.
I hunt. I am the bully hunter. Like, I hate them. I hate people that are fake. They to me, they have no reason of existence, or they need to fucking better themselves. Excuse my language.
You're all good. This is an Irish person's YouTube channel. It's fine.
So usually the 5 things that I look for in people that have bad, attributes. 1, passive aggressive tendencies. To me, God, it's just like, really? Like, you said it perfectly before. It's like you didn't donate for my channel. It's like, but it's why would you say first off, why would you say that comment? And any other relative conversation, you would never say that. So why say that there? 2, the too good to be true. Usually, I've learned in life, it is. Usually, if it's like, oh my god, like ha 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 ha, she's a bitch. Like, I've been through this. It's like, yeah. Oh my god, like. 3, reciprocation of feelings of a friend. If you can't reciprocate those feelings, I feel it's very hard to actually get to know somebody, because if me and you were having a conversation, it's like you're telling me all. Imagine you told me when you were talking on stream. Imagine you told me like what happened in your life, and I'm like, yeah, that's great, man. We wouldn't be having this conversation. You'd just be like, God damn, like what the fuck? What the hell did you go through in life that you have literally like Stonewall face. It's like, you not understand the shit I've been through?
Yeah, no, I totally. Reciprocation is a massive one for me. Like when Megaboss asked that question on his stream that night, he was like, "What do you look for in a friendship?" I was like, "Reciprocation. That is like my number one trait that I look for."
Going back, 4, well balanced. Well balanced shows me that you understand that you don't have to be on Twitch or Discord. You can go out. You can go have a pint. You can have a pint with your friends.
I miss
you can
pints.
Like for me, yeah, that's what I mean. It's like your life is not dedicated to Discord or Twitch, and I'm getting afraid of people. That's like, hey, like, what are you doing on Discord today? I'm like, you mean what am I doing today? I'm like, I kind of laugh. I'm like, first I'm gonna work, then I'm gonna go to the gym, and I'm gonna hit some golf balls, or it's like, rephrase your sentence because I'm getting afraid.
I'm gonna play with my kids. I might take my dog for a walk.
Fucking exactly. And then this one I did not bring up, and this bait. Maybe instead of being number 5.
Is this the Mac Daddy?
This is the Mac Daddy. People play victim.
Yeah. Okay.
They play victim to their own story, and basically they say, like, I would never do something like this, this, and this. This person said this, and I just went through this last night, where somebody heard one story, and there were 4 other people that know what's going on. It's like, that's called playing victim. Playing victim is not pretty. That is one of the most narcissistic things you can do, because it's a control manipulation tactic that is to always make sure you're on their little marionette. And it's one of those things I always tell people, be very careful of that, because many people on this platform do play victim. They say, woe is me, without understand. Like, for example, if you said something to, like, hey, like, I'm having a bad day, and the only thing you get from me, I'm like, well, today my day was like this, and like, I'm like, I didn't even fucking listen to you. Like, really?
I sometimes feel like that on Twitch, actually, in particular, that there's almost this like, there's some people who almost get competitive about, like, if you're like, dude, I've had a rough day, they're like, oh, you had a rough day? My day is so much worse. Let me tell you about how bad my day was. And you're like, okay, cool. And they're like, and like, they don't give a flying fuck about how your day was. They just wanted to talk about how their day was. That's all they wanted.
It's exactly right. Like, when I sit there, it's just like, my day is, it's like, hey, Mike, I'm like, how's your day? My day was actually good. It was actually great. That's great. My day sucked because 1, 2, and 3, I'm like, so basically you just wanted to vent. Basically you just wanted to have, like, all right, Mike, yeah. I'm like, do you want me to give you, I sit there, I'm like, do you want me to give you advice? No, could you just listen? Why didn't you just fucking start with that?
I was just gonna say, right, it's different if it's an invitation. It's different if you're like, guys, if anybody's got anything on their chest and you want to fucking vent, work away, go for it. Then it's like, then go write whatever you want. But as you say, if you're on stream and somebody comes in, I've had this, like, I know exactly kind of what you're talking. I'm on stream and I'm like, oh yeah, so like, yeah, no, today me and the kids, we went to the park and blah, blah, blah. And then somebody comes in, they're like, I hate everything so much right now. My fucking dog just shit in my kitchen and I had to clean it up. And you're like, oh dude, that's really rough. I'm really sorry to hear it, man, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, cool. All right, good luck. And you're like, wait, what was that? What was that experience? What was that?
I feel, you know, what we're saying, I feel this goes back to just social competency.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, when we have these conversations, like, it doesn't matter if it's Discord, Twitch, IRL, there is a social competency that people have. I see it more on Twitch and Discord, just because you're going to get more introverts. You're going to get a lot of people that have never been accepted. They use this platform for that, where the social competence may not be there. And this is where I was, you know, trying to throw the truth bombs. It's like, you have no idea. Like, if someone reaches out to me and it's like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, hey, cool. What's good? You have no idea what that person is going through. They may have tried to hurt themselves the night before, and maybe they're just like, hey, you know, Gramps is always trying to do positive shit. let me reach out to the old bastard and have that old man conversation, and maybe, and it's like, hey, like, let's have the conversation. It's one of those things where I try to tell people, I'm like, you don't, like, this is why I hate bullying. This is why I hate when people backtalk, and like, it's bringing high school shit to people that already have anxiety, that have depression, and guess what? You're not fucking helping.
Yeah.
You're not.
No, it's so true. It's absolutely spot on. Like, it's supposed to be, most people, there's two types of people to some extent, to what you're talking about. Well, there's a lot of types of people, but I feel like there's certain traits on this platform. One is that there are people here to use it to have a good time because they have other stuff in their life, and this is, as you said, a hobby, and it's something an outlet. And then I think, like you say, there's people who then want to become massive and famous and all the rest of it. Want to be famous.
Get a hot tub.
Yeah. But then, like you say, the other one is the kind of more introverted, insecure people who are looking for acceptance. I think that there's two very key who, like, literally are practically living their lives through Twitch, Discord at the moment. Like, that's where they're literally putting all of their energy into. And again, I would never, unless somebody was being toxic around me, like really obviously toxic, I would never tell somebody. I might, like you, Gramps, I might call somebody out on their behavior. Like, I might say, I've done it in the past. I had somebody who I found was being very toxic in the way they spoke about friends of mine's streams. They would come into my chat and talk about friends of mine, and I would be like, I'm not allowing that. I'm not okay with it. If you want to do that in my chat, fuck off somewhere else. There's other places you can be. I do think a lot of that comes from this divergence of, or like this fucking cross section of people who are here because they just want to have a bit of fun, and there are people who are here because they have nothing else, almost.
It's God. It's all. It's always funny. You always tell me I'm dropping truth bombs, and it's just like you come from the other side. It's like I'm like, so this is how it feels to talk to my counterpart from Ireland.
I knew, man. I was like, I bet me and Gramps would have a great chat, because I think, yeah, it goes back to that values thing as well. Like, it's just fucking. And also, I just want to talk quickly about what you said about knowing your own value. I was in a friend's stream today, and he was saying to everybody how great everybody else was. I think you know him, actually, Mr. Davy Boy. He was saying, "You're great, you're great."
Good man. Everybody that doesn't know him, good people. Just throwing it out there, good people. Oh,
Davy, I love him. He's my cousin. Although, as we always say, we're more friends than family. But Davy was like, "You're amazing, you're amazing, you're amazing." And I was like, "Davy, you're amazing." And he was like, No. And I was like, "Davy, you have to know your value. You have to." And he was like, "Yeah, but I don't care about my value. I care about helping other people." And I was like, "You will never be able to help everyone else as much as you could if you don't know your own value first. You need to." So I love you talking about knowing your value.
How can you help yourself? How can you help other people when you can't help yourself? I fucking preach that all the time, and I've actually had conversation, especially with a young kid. A kid, he threw up positivity and thing, and had him almost freaking made me cry. It's one of those things where it's just like he didn't understand his value. I'm like, "Kid, you're 6'1", you're 225. I'm like, let's talk about gym. Let's talk about getting you in shape. Kid drops like 25-30 pounds, and he's like, he was dealing with bullying. The bullies don't come near him anymore.
Yep.
And I sit there, I'm like, I'm sorry to say, you're an inch taller than I am. I probably don't want to fuck with you either. Plus, I'm 38, you're 21. My knees are probably gonna give out. But it's one of those things where it's like, if you cannot, and this is where I think the insecurities for people come out, where they want to be accepted, but they're so insecure about their own values through whatever life threw at them, whatever. Basically, maybe they were. I've talked to people, women in here that were physically abused, that maybe have come out of a divorce, that men that have literally been beaten the crap out of. Like, you have. I will continue to say this. You have no idea what another person is going through. And for me, it's just, I will always hear it out. And, for me, it's one of the things like, is this person speaking truth, or are they crying wolf? And there's just ways of going about it where it's just like, don't, for me, it's like, don't post all of your personal shit in a positivity section of a chat. If you want to have an actual, find somebody that can translate and talk to you about that's like, hey, like, you're going through this. Hey, I read this. Let me reach out to you. Let's have a genuine conversation so I can actually talk to you, because what you're doing right there, you're putting yourself out there. You got a lot of people on here that don't know the difference between not judging and judging. You're going to get judged. You're going to feel judged. You're going to be like, oh my God, like, what are people saying? Don't throw your shit out there. Keep your shit right here, in here. And then when you trust somebody that you can actually develop, when you actually start reaching out and developing that friendship, then you slowly customize yourself to that person. Like, hey, like, by the way, I've had depression for a little bit. And, for me, it's one of those things where it's been a lifelong fight, lifelong journey. And that person's going to reciprocate, like, hey, man, like, I feel you. I get you. Like, lay it on me, vent to me anytime. Like, that's how you're supposed to go through it. And that's why I see it. It's like, hey, like, and it's not to really shout out anybody's chats or channels. There's just better ways to talk about very sensitive and important stuff.
There are DMs. Like I try to say, like, I think that, again, that there is I think I even experienced a little bit of this earlier in the week on my own channel, where there was a discussion happening and I was like, can we move this to a DM situation, because I don't need it in here right now. I don't. I'm trying to.
I think the intentions were good. I was there.
100% good. 100%
good.
Beautiful soul, beautiful person. Love them to move. But, like, it's just that moment where, like, and I actually got a message from that person afterwards, and they said, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I didn't read the room, I didn't understand. And I was like, you're totally fine, we know that you were trying to help.
I know the person, so I know the intentions were good. Like,
100% good. But as you say, sometimes there's just those moments where you do have to, it can be hard, but you do have to kind of read the room and kind of be like, is what I'm saying kind of causing a bad...
You just said something that fucking terrifies me. You said read the room. I'm sorry to say 90% of people on here do not know that. And I'm going to be quite honest with you. Even playing Mario Kart, there was a comment that was said, and me and Moy are like, and everybody's still talking loud as hell. I'm like, did no one else fucking hear that?
Did that actually happen? Or
that's what I said. I'm like, was that actually said? So it's just like, people are like, read the room, and most people can't, because they don't know any better. And it's not, it's one of those things where it's like, they're trying to learn, and that's where kind of the age gap. For me, I don't want to try to say, like, I try to keep, because Moy is 23 and he's one of my closest, actually, if not my closest friend on here. He's 23 going on 35. Yeah. He's not a child.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I try to, even with my Discord, I try to keep it, mental health free, making sure that people can come speak and no one gets judged, as well as I want the kind of the age, I wouldn't say the age range, but I want the maturity range higher than your, like, someone wrote to me today, it's like, hey, you don't have a positivity or this section. I'm like, you're absolutely right. Yeah. I'm like, for me, I don't want people spilling their entire life stories in my channel when you know what I'm about, you know exactly what I stand for. If you have something you want to say and you need an ear, fucking DM me.
Yeah, like, let's actually chat about it. Let's literally have a fucking human conversation. Let's not open it to the forum, because one thing I want to touch on briefly before we start kind of winding down and wrapping up, one thing I want to talk about there is when you said people will look and will judge, and like, the thing is that's going to happen on any social media platform. It doesn't matter how curated that. You can say that Discord is different from Facebook or Twitter or whatever, because it's a more curated platform. You have an idea of who's in there, all the rest of it. But you still just, and even if they don't, something else you said rings true, which is that even if nobody judges that statement, the person who posted it, you are going to be like, shit, I wonder, did I piss everybody off? Nobody's fucking commented. Nobody's responded. Do you think everybody's really mad at me? You're only going to add to your own problems, your own anxiety. The best thing to do is go like, hey guys, I'm going through something. It would really be, if anybody's up to it, I'd love to talk. Like, if anybody's cool with that. And then engage someone.
Short and sweet. No, just like you said, short and sweet. That's the best. I always go by the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it. Best method you can go by. It's just like, I'm going to write 4 paragraphs about my life. It's like, hey man, want to talk? Yes. Done. And it's like, not only that, like I got to know the person. It's like, hey, like it's not one of those things where like, oh man, like I helped somebody, I feel good about myself. It's like, no, I've actually been through this shit. I have an LCSW in my family. I have my primary is my uncle. Like I have I didn't become a doctor. I'm the failure of the family when it comes to this. Just an engineer. But it's just like you get the, when you talk to, especially when you're talking to like an LCSW in the family, they're like, when you're having the conversation, like first off, my sister-in-law, or she's it's basically my cousin, but she's just like, Mike, yeah. Why do you go talk to her knowing for the fact that all she's going to do is be unbelievably illogic and irrational? I'm like, because sometimes I fucking need to hear it, because then I'm not going crazy myself, because I feel like I am gaslighted by everybody that I speak to on here. It's like, am I losing my fucking mind? So, I always ask myself, I'm like, is this, and this actually, I want to bring it back to, is this, for the people that actually have their shit together and are well balanced, is this a healthy platform to be on for some? Because there are a lot of people, I would say there are more than, there are not many well balanced people here. There are a lot of people that have insecurities. Now for me, I asked the question, would that be kind of a, is it a healthy platform? And for me, I would say if you know how to pick out the right friends. I think if you find the right people and the right friends, then it is a healthy platform. Besides that, I think most of the time it's mostly like a cluster. It's the best way I can kind of explain it in one word. It's just like, it's almost like a cluster. It's just word vomit, people just talking, and it's, for me, it's like, if you're word vomiting on gaming, oh hell yeah. But it's just, sometimes it's just
too much, too fast.
It's too much. Exactly. It's you want to kind of scale yourself the correct way.
I think it's really interesting actually, because one thing that I'll say actually just before we finish up and stuff is that, like, I think for me, the reason that this works as a platform that I enjoy, just to kind of, is that it's curated. It's that I can decide who I want to allow to be in my space. I can be like, I don't like this person, they're toxic, they don't do any benefit for me having them around, goodbye. Now I will say that, to your point from earlier, it's sometimes you end up in these inevitable horrible dramas because people are like, well, I heard from such and such that you said this to such and such a person, and if that ever happens to me on here, Gramps, I think I'll just be like, all right, you know what, guys, good luck, I'm gonna go just play games on my own again and go hang out with my IRL friends, because I don't fucking need this shit. Like, I do not need high school drama at 37. No thanks, man.
I remember I told a friend, I sat there, I'm like, this is what I'm going through. What are you gonna do about it? I'm gonna go play a round of golf and drink some White Claw. I'm like, here's the thing. Here's my computer. All right. A lot of people, and you said it before, you nailed it. A lot of people live vicariously through this innate object, this internet, and this is where they think this is life. And I sit here, I'm like, no, go for a walk. In my streams, my favorite thing that I love to say to Allison, oh, Mike, I'm sorry I wasn't in your stream. No, I'm happy. I was in the nature. I was in the nature. Go back to the nature. Get away from here. It's like, get away from my stream. Like, when people, I always say, like, if for Easter, when I streamed on Easter, because my family's in New York, I'm in Florida, the epicenter of COVID. I'm not taking any chances of, you're on like level 5 lockdown. Florida is on level 1. We don't give a fuck.
Oh my god!
Like, we literally there are people like right now. Like last week, I went to throw out my garbage, and we have a gigantic ass pool and stuff. I have spring breakers, literally, like,
holy fuck,
of them getting shit faced. I'm like, well, if anybody ever wants to know what we feel about COVID, that is a perfect explanation right there. I just started laughing. I'm like, oh my god, but it's just. This is not life. Don't get me wrong. It's great as a hobby. It's great to meet people and great to make friends. But you gotta keep it balanced, and you gotta just make sure, like, I have hobbies on here. I have my gym, as you guys, I flex all the time.
Oh, hell yeah. I got a free flex one day. It was awesome.
You flex because I go to the gym. Gym's really, mind, spirit, body, everything with that. And then I play golf. And then other times I'll go do something random. It's just when people being on the computer 24/7 actually has studies that lead to depression and anxiety, because literally it's just a focal point where it's almost like the Matrix. You're fully involved and you have no other ways of how to get rid of your social anxiety.
And also it leaves you open for you go into somebody's chat and you don't realize again that you are doing something you shouldn't be. Because let's say you haven't tuned off in days, you're just absorbed into Twitch chats and stuff. You forget, you don't realize that what you're doing is wrong, and then somebody calls you out on it, and then that's going to lead you to feel shit as well, because that's going to then exacerbate the problems that are probably already there, to some extent, because you're suddenly getting challenged and you're like, oh shit, why am I such an asshole? Why am I such a piece of shit? Whatever, you're putting yourself in a situation where your situation could be made worse. Sometimes I find that if I'm in a low mood and shit, working on Twitch and I'm talking to people and I realize I'm like, you know what I'm typing is completely valueless. Like you say, right? It's valueless. It's not helping anyone. It's shit. I would be like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to the fucking side and make myself an omelet. I'm going to play with the dog for a few minutes. I don't need to be here right now. I'm not doing anything positive at all.
Mega Boss said this to me, and it's one of the best comments I've taken. It's when low tier Twitch banter starts to become reality for somebody. That's a time where that arm length becomes the bed length. And then it just keeps on extending. It's like when online Twitch and Twitter becomes life, that's when I have to start separating myself from you a little bit, because then you're starting to be on more of the, you're not really living life at this point. It's kind of terrifying.
I mean, dude, I will tell you that the main thing that I've got, right, actually, this is a perfect way to kind of finish this all up. I will tell you that, right, what I've gotten, to go back to kind of real life versus Twitch, two different platforms. Real life is its own platform, guys.
It's a platform now. Guys, real life's a platform. Did you fucking know?
So, what I've gotten from Twitch that I love and value and I appreciate is that, I'm going back to the US as soon as all this COVID stuff dies down. I have to, because I've got meetings in Los Angeles for film stuff that I was supposed to go to last April, that obviously when the world shut down fell through. But due to all this, I met so many people like yourself, like I was about to say like Gramps. You are Gramps.
I am Gramps.
Like you, like Megaboss, like Ali, like Moy, like Casey, Caitlin. And I'm like, you know what, these people are so... and then I know so many people in the US from my film side of things. I have a lot of friends that are filmmakers spread out across the US. So I literally was just like, you know what I'm gonna fucking do when all this COVID shit passes? I am literally gonna fly to the US, land in New York, rent a car, and just drive across the fucking US, just stopping for a day and chatting to people that I really want to meet. Because if anything, I want to take these online interactions and actually apply them to something real. Make the online interactions real, but with the people that I've genuinely bonded with. You know what I mean? Not every single person that I've interacted with, because
I've said that so many times. I said to him, if you're on here and you just want an internet friendship, and it's just you don't eventually want to kind of meet in person, and it's where's the value in that? For me, if I'm friends with somebody, I want to fucking meet them. I want to have a pint. Yes. I want to have a pint. I'm Megaboss is moving up to Pittsburgh. I'm like, dude, I'll go visit you because you got Primanti Brothers up there. You got one of the best food spots. I'm like, we're thinking about setting something. The point being is that, when I ask people, it's as a friend, I want to eventually meet you, and they're like, oh, I'm like, oh dear God. it's that's the whole point. Eventually it's
yeah,
you kind of get, it's you got the weirdos where it's just sometimes you're scared, but it's just now it's more even with Allison, she female, male, but she knows for a fact, like if she calls me and like shit's going down, or it's like, hey, get your ass up here, we need to finally meet. It's like, we're just gonna little. She's like my little sister. Like her and Casey are like my little brat sisters. Like
That's it, man.
That for me, it would be awesome. I have a feeling they'd get me to cosplay something.
We're getting you that mullet. We're getting you that mullet
Oh my
for the
God.
Gladio cosplay. Or will we do? It's either going to be Gladio or Solid Snake. We're gonna do one of those.
I would so rock that. I would rock that mullet so hard. I would be so happy rocking that mullet out. No issue. There would be no issues with that.
Gramps, I think this is a perfect place to finish up, because I think what you said there is for me anyway, like the objective or the end goal with any of the. I wrote a blog post which I'll link in the description here, but like about like meaningful, genuine relationships, like, and the difference between those and you can have acquaintances. I have acquaintances in real life too, like people that I see and I'm like, oh hey dude, how are you? But they're not the people that I'm like, oh I can't wait till COVID's over so I can go for a pint, so that I can hang out with, so we can go fucking go-karting or something, we can go have fun in real life. And that's what I'm on Twitch for, is exactly what you just said. I want to connect with people, meet up with them, have fucking fun interactions and banter. If we disagree about something, like if I say Gramps, Final Fantasy X-2 is the greatest game ever made, I know that we can disagree about that and still be friends.
How the hell do I get out of this? How do I get out of this call? How does Zoom work?
No, but that is something else as well. Like be able to disagree and fucking
in an adult way.
Yeah.
Be able to converse. Be able to have a simple communication. Like most of the spats that I've gotten here is because of a communication failure. And I sit here, I'm like, this is as easy as a communication. And it's like, get your this is the other issue. Get your ego and pride out of the way. That's where a lot of people fail. That's it.
Big time. Gramps, thank you so much for coming on and chatting to me, man. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Pleasure's mine, man. For me, being able to talk to my Irish counterpart was an absolute blast. Obviously, when you get back into the States, me, you, Mega, Ali, we got to meet somewhere. Moy, definitely fly Moy out. You got to have a pint somewhere. We just got to hang up.
Let's all we'll descend on Pittsburgh like the zombies from fucking the Night of the Living Dead movies that were filmed there. We'll all just end up in Pittsburgh drinking pints.
I would have no issues with that. I mean, Permanthi Brothers. I'll send you a few gifs of what they've sent about me and Permanthi Brothers. It's pretty cursed. That's the best thing I can say. Like, it's pretty messed up, man.
Guys, one more time. There will be links in the description. You can check out SourPatchGramps over on Twitch. Again, go there for the real talk. Don't go there to fucking pop in and just like make a fart joke and leave. Like, go there to actually, like, not that he's against fart jokes either, but just like, look, that can't be it. That can't be the start and end of the conversation. But guys, thank you so much, Gramps. I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna say that, like, thank you so much to Twitch for allowing me to meet people like you, Alison, Moy, this little group. There's a, as I said at the top, there's a handful of people that I would consider friends that I've met on this platform versus acquaintances. So yeah. And on that note, I'm going to say what I say at the end of every episode, and that is, let's survive together and peace out. Thanks so much, Gramps.
No, thank you for having me.